We are talking with Scott Kellen from SixCentSports.com and SBR contributor John Ryan, previewing Week 13 in the NFL here on the SBR TV NFL Experts Roundtable. All right, Scott, the game that you want to talk about is the Jets at Washington, and I look at this game, it looks pretty straightforward to me. Buffalo played the Jets last week, and they were in bad shape, and they almost beat the Jets. Washington, though, they actually played pretty decently, didn't look too awful last week, and now Washington's a 3-point home underdog. So take Washington +3, buy to 3.5, or take them on the money line. Is that how you see this game?
Yeah, absolutely do.
Okay.
I think Washington's a great play this week. They qualify in that same home underdog momentum situation. That's 48-17-1 for me. I make the number 2.5 for Washington. They got Santana Moss back last week, and I had them in that contest again last week against Seattle. And even though that game was close, they dominated that game up front. They averaged 6.4 yards of play last week. They gave up only 4 to Seattle, 4 yards of play. So they moved the ball. They've had a great defense all year. They've just been really, really banged up for a while. But even though Rex Grossman isn't a great quarterback, I have a lot more confidence in them moving the ball with Grossman in there. Now they got Moss back. That helps. They've got some decent tight ends there. And they're playing a Jets team that just isn't very good on the road this year. And like you said, they struggled last week as well. Not to mention, by the way, Washington was very competitive 2 weeks ago against Dallas, so they seem to have turned the corner a little bit. I'll gladly take the Redskins as a home dog in this game.
All right. Makes very good sense to me. John Ryan, you agree with that?
I have a slight lean towards the Jets, Peter,
Really?
and not to be contradictory to Scott,
please.
but one of my systems is a convincing factor here, and I'll start with the system.
Okay.
This system has gone 25-5 over the last 5 seasons for 83% winners. It's
Nice.
gone 16-2 over the last 3 seasons.
Very nice.
And it's very simple. You play on home teams with lines +3 to -3 after allowing 5.5 or less passing yards per attempt in their last game, facing an opponent after gaining 5.5 or less passing yards per attempt in the last game.
Okay.
So you have one common factor applied to both teams in their previous game. And the clear thing with Washington is they can't run the ball to save their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And this will help the Jets defense finally have a solid game for 4 quarters, in my opinion. So I think this is one of those games where Washington is just, with all due respect to Scott, I like his analysis certainly, but I think Washington inability to play really good defense and their inability to run the ball is going to be their Achilles heel against a team like the Jets.
All right. Well, Scott, you're constantly referring to fundamental rushing situations that make you like or dislike a side. So do you agree that Washington can't run the ball to save their lives? And if that's true, do you have any fundamental rushing situations that go against Washington here?
No, I've got no fundamental rushing situations that go against them here, and I'm just looking at my numbers just from last week, so I don't have this week's numbers incorporated in there yet. But, when I look at the Jets, and this was based through before last week's games, they average 3.6 yards a rush against teams that give up 4.2. So they're below average rushing the ball. They have been above average stopping the rush. And John's right, Washington does not rush the ball very well, but they stop the rush pretty well. Washington's defense as a whole, I think, is pretty good. So if their defense is good and they can hold the Jets down from a scoring standpoint and they're getting points, I think they'll stay in this game. And as bad as Washington was earlier this year and was last year, they have played very competitive at home over the last 2 years. Last year, other than their blowout loss on that Monday night against Philadelphia, they didn't lose a home game by more than 4 points. And this year, they've kind of repeated that performance. If the Jets come in here and stop them and hold Washington to 6 points and win this game 13-6, am I surprised? No. But I think Washington will be able to do enough in offense, and the Jets offense, is not done that great on the road this year as well. Just look at the Denver game a couple weeks ago where they only had 13 points. So, if the Jets don't score enough points in this game, laying points on the road, I don't think they'll cover the line.
All right. Well, the way you guys are describing it, this has Washington teaser written all over it, and I can the books are going to get killed again. Oh, God. They're going to get killed again. Another teaser that the public is going to pound.